And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We have such a good game for you right now. If that last series is anything to go by, then this should be a belter. We're going to have PEPEMLADY victorious in the last series. They are going up against the team that many are pegging to maybe win this entire cup, Washed Up.
Yeah, Washed Up, of course, the top dogs together with LAUBERS fan club here the entire time. And after we've seen like the in-house tournaments and all of the in-house matches, it's kind of cool to have like the fixed teams back again. And I feel for Washed Up, it's also one of those, we talked a little bit about the Last Dance, the team with Whoopi, with Breeze, with Poik and all of them coming back here and playing. And for teams like LAUBERS fan club and Washed Up, it's a little bit one of these tests, right? They've been the ones that have been sticking out with the game the entire time, that have established a really dominant position. So they kind of have a little bit of a reputation to defend now too. So as we are progressing slowly through the bracket, it's pretty funny to actually see how this is going to come together. And for Washed Up, of course, the next important step is to take PEPEMLADY down. But as we've just seen on the last map, this can be pretty tricky. The team definitely is experienced as well.
Very true. And you bring up a good point. The question is, are these old teams that are returning, are they coming to reclaim the throne? Or is this a situation of there's no Stuart on the throne, these are the new kings, and these old kings are going to get shut down? It's going to be fun to see. I also believe, if I'm correct, I'm just getting this confirmed, that we are into our quarterfinals now. So I believe we're actually into our first best of threes.
And of course, the question that will later then also going to be if it comes to The Last Dance versus Washed Up is, do they know that you have to ban Kerrigan against Nick?
That's true. We will have to find out. It is also, yes, confirmed, we are into best of threes now. So this is going to be a tough matchup for both these teams. But there's always a little bit more leeway. But we're starting off with Towers of Doom as our first map. And we are heading into the draft, ladies and gentlemen, as we are getting ready. This should be good. This should be good. PEPEMLADY look like they're on good form, and Washed Up, they've already taken out everyone in their way. Let's see if they can keep that going.
Yeah, next station is going to be the semifinals. So if they're able to make it here, then that would give them another step closer to getting those points to secure themselves a slot in the monthly final. But as we're heading in, Towers of Doom, Washed Up in blue, PEPEMLADY in red, and this should be a fun one. First question, of course, Banana H. Does he get his Ana? Yes or no? Will there be a ban? Is PEPEMLADY reacting to this? And what is Nick gonna play here? Because his Kerrigan is terrifying. And the last time that I've seen his Kerrigan on this map, I think he got 17 kills, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right.
So it's pretty disgusting.
Too many to feel like it was fair, but it was all skill. So let's see what PEPEMLADY start off the bans with. They have first pick, first ban, meaning that Towers of Doom was Washed Up's map choice. Let's see where they go here. Of course, we have these Johannas, these Rhaegars, these are standards. Zul has been so far completely ignored. Have the nerfs actually hit him enough to where he's not played anymore?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really seen any kind of attention to Zul. I would say if Kerrigan, if we see a Zul, then maybe like on Infernal Shrines or something. We might see it there, but right now, this is a map where in theory you can actually play it too. Kerrigan first banned out. Still waiting if the second ban goes towards Ana, but there's the Rhaegar ban, so we're not going to see any kind of these Bloodlust shenanigans with a potential Greymane pick. But PEPEMLADY, what are they eliminating? Do we see a second support ban, or a bit of a different pattern for them now?
Let's see, with the second ban coming in, again, Johanna is still up, this is what I would expect, but there are heroes like Abatha who massively rise in priority on this map, so we could see a higher priority onto that, and see that banned out nice and quickly. Let's see where PEPEMLADY go. It's gonna be the Ana, Banana.
Feels that Banana Ana banned out again. If you don't ban Bananas Ana, then he's going bananas with Ana. It's like, it's bad.
I love you as a friend, but I hate you for that pun.
I can totally understand that. I hate myself a little bit too every time I do it.
EDC banned out. Taken away, which leaves Johanna as I would expect the first pick, but we could also see something like Raider or one of these other high priority heroes picked up as well.
Yep, so let's see. Will Q, or what else are we going to get here? The ETC has been a consistent pick for them early on. They could definitely deviate away from it. They do. Johanna, they still stick it out with the support first. That's fine. And now washed up. Let's see how they respond here. They have actually played a lot with like early jimmies. Try to also sometimes lock in that Sergeant Hammer for Hazorps. They have so many tricks up their sleeves. It's not really going to be easy to ban a third hero against them, because there's just too much going on over here. Masquerade is pretty fantastic on his Diablo setup. There's a Urel, though, for the Quasar. It's a little bit more out of the box for them, but still that Tassadar priority that we now observed in so many of these games here has come in again. So Tassadar gets picked, but we still could see them shift around the heroes a little bit and lock in a reliable auto attacker to maybe give Hazorps even the tank opportunities here.
With Greymane and Reyna still up, it's unlikely we'll see PEPEMLADY take all of them, but they might ban one. I definitely like to see them pick up probably Greymane over, because Tassadar, despite being incredible, is still squishy. It's Junkrat and Ariel, though. Now, that's a little less than standard.
Yeah, definitely not quite what I expected over here. I mean, the Urel pick already was something that we've seen a lot. I mean, the good rotation between the lanes is kind of nice. And you, of course, have in addition to that also the Divine Steed, which allows you to speed that up a little bit. But then you come in with the Oriel on the other side. Junkrat, definitely not a shocking pick by any means.
Yeah.
Super powerful. I can totally understand the Vala ban, because normally when you have Oriel, unless you're going full Cho'Gall, you want to make sure that the Vala is banned out, and that's kind of what they're doing here. But that's a very early commitment to a support hero that very likely would not have been picked away from them. So
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think what else is great Ariel tools. Of course, we have Gul'dan, we have Lunara. She's also pretty decent on her own these days. There's, of course, Cho'Gall, but with this composition, I would be, on this map especially, I would be a little concerned if we were to see the Ogre.
yeah, that's no. It's just a no from me. The interesting part is also that we actually have seen a lot of the guys on the red team side play Tychus. So even if there's anything like super hit point heavy, they could play that too if they really needed to adjust. Greymane is also still open, let's not forget about that. But they go for a Nubarak, so they have a lot of engage with Malfurion and the root follow-up from Banana H. Nick is still keeping his options open, so he's as often the flex pick for them. And what's the last pick right now for PEPEMLADY?
Cocoon onto Ariel is also always good. If she drops the Aegis on someone, dropping that Cocoon on her can reduce the fight into a 3v5, which can always be nice. But here's the final two pickups for PEPEMLADY. Where are they going to go? We need a generator. Sylvanas is the generator. She is a very solid one. Missed her in the first rotation. They do bring out that Deathwing. Now, we talked about PEPEMLADY playing the Tychus. Could we perhaps see it from Washed Up? And if not, what other percentage damage heroes are we looking at?
I talked about Washed Up picking the Tychus. Nick and his boys
That's
picked it quite a bit, and Nick actually played him a few times. So there is a chance that they go for that, but as I said earlier, Greymane is still up. So if you have the choice between Tychus and Greymane, usually it's an opt-in for Greymane instead. But if he was, for example, banned out, then there's definitely a setup where they can play that. Hazu played it quite a bit with Tychus. We have Greymane and Nick several times on him too. So they have played with this. And also to lock down Deathwing. But in this case, again, you got Greymane, so you're fine.
Makes sense. Greymane's going to be fantastic. Cursed Bullet going to do so much here. But on the other side, that Sylvanas will make up that hope generation. And hopefully we should be good.
Also important about the Greymane versus Tychus conversation, if you have Greymane, you have a much better chance of taking those camps down quickly. So Tychus is nowhere near as good as Greymane when it comes to that setup. So as long as he can simply jump in and get that, that's pretty awesome for him. So we will see him rotate towards the pumpkin camps whenever he can, try and lock those in and create a bit more pressure throughout the bot lane in particular. And talking about bot lane pressure, he's great, of course, against the structures too, and that could help them to get a bell tower conversion early on in the game and establish control through the bottom of the map.
Very true. Also, quick apologies for the dog barking in the background. It has calmed down now. So, looks like
we just got excited. Greymane was picked. I would be excited.
Yeah. Hey, that one's kind of like me. Oh dear. Either way, this should be good. This Deathwing's going to have to play safe against the Greymane, which is a weird sentence to say. But that Sylvanas gives so much teamfight potential with that Ariel. I'm excited to see how it goes. And also, what style of Ariel we will see here, whether it's the safe Ariel or the really hard engaged damage Ariel that we have seen in the past, as we are heading into the game onto Towers of Doom.
Yeah, Towers of Doom should be a good one. Always an exciting map. The comeback potential here is obviously insane. And well, here we go. Nick with his Greymane. And yeah, I'm a little bit excited for this. Banana Age on the Pleb Horse. Not quite sure if I can support this. Where's my money pack when I need it?
The Quasar on Urel, Nick on the Greymane, Masquerade on a Nubrak, Hasu on the Tass, and on the right, PEPEMLADY, Redzu on that Dragon, Cesabos, Junkrat here. It's already a scary matchup. Will Q on that Johanna, we already know he's good at it. And Dyla on that Ariel.
It will be an interesting one. There's a ton of wave clear for PEPEMLADY in particular. Now, of course, if you have Sylvanas, you can build a lot of momentum up by just simply winning one team fight and then trying to take structures down, get some bell tower control. Wilkie, on the other hand, is experiencing immediately how it feels to go up against Nick here, and has to just like run away, gets the Iron Skin through in time, so that's good for him.
He will survive in this case, and like you said, with that Iron Skin, gets out of danger. Masquerade going to rotate down. Will mean 4 members, but he takes a safe enough rotation for it not to be an issue as Raizu loses his first armor plate.
Yeah, also, now that we have... I mean, Greymane seems to be rotating a little bit, so we actually have pressure towards the top. We have him in the middle now. Sylvanas is going for the rotation to catch the experience. Very direct and an aggressive one, but now that the 1 minute mark hits, this is obviously the time when we're going to see the camps taken and both of the teams make it straight up to the pumpkin camp as we speak. So that's the first setup over here. And
on the pressure.
Yeah, nobody's going in for any kind of early game rotation to be aggressive here and try and take the opponent's camp away. So definitely a little bit more of a slower start here, not too much aggression. We're going to see plenty of that later on in the game. With the Nuburak setup for Washed Up, they obviously want to be highly aggressive around this. The whole idea of this lineup is to engage with the Nuburak, use him as an engage tank, get the lockdown with Malfurion roots, and then capitalize with the damage dealers on the stun target.
Zap is cleaned up by Washed Up. PEPEMLADY, Wilkie marches forward, does some damage. Junkrat's trying to ping from afar. Nice little use of the concussion mine, but these Sappers still making their way in. 1, 2, and 3. All of them make their way onto the towers.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of early damage against those, so not really a great start for the team in red here. I mean, again, not too much loss just yet, so it's not like they just lost the game or anything, but this is a lot of early game damage against the bottom bell tower, and that's the one that you obviously want to hold for as long as possible. So definitely a little bit of a tricky setup here. You need to make sure that the next one that moves in is getting slowed down a bit, and ooh, will Q. Alright, there's no...
barely.
Yeah, there was no root available anymore. That was a good part, but he was pretty low.
We have these level 4 talents available for everyone. Possession for Sylvanas. The extra attainments coming in for the Ariel. Really trying to keep the team safe. Some disengaging damage here. And Hand of Freedom coming in for the Urel. Really wants to help her team escape if they get caught by that Junkrat.
Yeah, also, Nubra gets pinged heavily here. That's what I love about Washed Up. I mean, the memeing between these guys is obviously just always 6.5 out of 10 there. So they're really going for that ping spam. But now that we have the triple altar phase up, it's usually top left, top right, and then you fight for the last one. This is a bit of a different line though, because now it seems like we still have the 2-for-1, but thanks to the rotation towards the top, it is... Actually, no, they're going to lose out on this one. Damn. I actually thought for a second that PEPEMLADY might be successfully looking at the third shrine over here, but now that they've been forced back, they have just no way. The interrupt that you have on the other side is just too much, and they lose a hero too! Maybe even 2. Nah, Iron Skin is up, but that was a bit unlucky. That's another 4 shots fired in just a second against PEPEMLADY.
Yeah, Channel finally comes in, making that a 2-for-1 in terms of these early game shots. And Washed Up take the small lead here with level 7 being hit just before as well. And they're able to creep ahead, but level 7 not too far behind for PEPEMLADY at all.
I mean, the idea was obviously that traditionally you have only 2 heroes at the top. You have one for the red, one for the blue team. It comes to a trade between left and right side, and then everybody moves down to the bottom of the map to fight for the third. What PEPEMLADY was trying to do is set themselves up with 4 or 5 heroes top side and just simply take both of the top altars, leave the opponent at the bottom, and then get ahead by taking 2 out of the 3. but Washed Up delayed long enough to make the rotation topside happen, and you can't really invade that left side there because it's just too easy for the defending team to interrupt, so they had to let this one slide. So it ends up with a small lead for Washed Up. It was a good thought though from PEPEMLADY, but Washed Up played it well and defended this incredibly well too.
The Washed Up playing fantastically here. Dyla, by the way, has gone, instead of for the Energized Court, the more standard style, he's gone for his own safety and is going for Emphatic Lick, trying to stay further away from the fight and let someone else take damage to give him his hope generation instead of relying on these auto attacks. You can even see that in his positioning here, where WillQ takes a lot of damage, but as such, Dyla full on energy.
Yeah, they're all a little bit low here. That's a problem because the next altar is activating in 20. So they're already taking a lot of early damage here. Still level 9 versus 9, no level 10 abilities in play yet. So there's a lot of interrupt potential. The Nubarak is already taking position at the bottom. Nick, on the other hand, is getting completely caught off guard by this. Urel is trying to help out. Greymane on the run. And he gets away. That's an important save. If he dies here, that would have been an absolute disaster.
Yeah, that Hand of Freedom absolutely saving him with that bonus 30% movement speed, allowing him to escape. Tassadar, though, not so lucky. You called it. Bad timing on this death. This should be the objective, being stolen away by PEPEMLADY to even up the core health.
Well, not quite.
No, it won't. Yeah, I can't.
We had a double. So they got one at the bottom. But yeah,
right.
they traded evenly on this one. Now that we have Heroics coming in, once again. Kuno, of course. Tranquility for Malfurion to keep the boys and girls alive. Aegis used for Oriel. Wailing Arrow. I mean, pretty much the norm. But yeah, still fairly even. 2 kills against 1 on the objective. A tiny lead for Washed Up. Nothing insane. We all know that on this map in the late game, you can always, through map control, very, very quickly start a comeback. It's going to come down to the bot lane control, as so often.
Cocoon's there. They're going to try and dive it. Greymane's going to be the one tanking, but no. They let it go. Wailing Arrow comes out to force the disengage here. And as such, that was his life. Blessed Shield, though, does not land onto Masquerade, and he's going to be able to escape as well. Heroics, 2 Heroics burned there. No one able to pick up a kill.
And they're trying to apply more pressure towards WillQ. It's a little bit of pressure plays just in general from Washed Up, always looking for an opportunity to force out a couple of ults on the other side. And now that we have the Pumpkin camps back up, Washed Up actually starts to be aggressive around it. So they're going in with the attempt to take it down. WillQ is in trouble. Needs to use the Iron Skin here and makes it out, but barely, as Uchu comes in with Deathwing, eats the bullet right away, is incredibly low, and Urel jumps in the Space Goat. The Aegis with a save for just a second, but Johanna dies. The follow-up kill against Urel. They could even get a triple, but Richu gets out. Right, on the other hand, gets the mace to the face from Dayquaza, the Space Goat with another kill secured, and that's the Pumpkins taken. That's a mad amount of momentum all of a sudden in the hands of Washed Up as they're pushing through the bot lane to convert the bell tower.
Deathwing going to be allowed to channel top lane. Urel could have actually contested this with Junkrat showing in bot lane, but in this case, they will just let those shots go over and then delay their own to guarantee 5 shots onto the opponent's core. Cocoon is down. Blessed Shield, though. Root is there with the Strangling Vise, but WillQ doing too much damage. Going to force him to back up.
5 shots fired, by the way. So you were, by the way, right. That one altar could, of course, been taken, but they said, hey, bell tower control, more important for us right now. 28 to 25. Lead in experience. Level ahead nearly. Get the 13 now. It's a really, really good position for Washed Up to be in. I mean, even if eventually you lose the bot tower control again, you force your opponent to invest a lot of time and energy to try and deal with this situation. And it's not an easy one. So, yeah. Let's see what they can do here.
Let's have a look at some of these talents on screen right now. Velen's Chosen coming in for the Urel. Really wants that extra damage because right now she is bodying Deathwing, doing a fantastic job here. We also have Acid Drenched Mandibles coming in for a Nubarak. He wants to add to that burst of the team. And Oracle for Hasuobs, giving that standing still sustain, that armor, which is actually kind of huge if you're trying to engage onto an Archon Tassadar. And if not, cheeky little vision every now and again is nice as well.
Pumpkins coming in. And they, again, if you want to defend against those, you definitely can. The problem is you also have to go a little bit deep to get out there, and that exposes heroes like Johanna to a lot of damage from Greymane. And if Nyx sees an opportunity, they're going to jump on it. Moving out. Stun doesn't connect. WillQ It's close. There's always that threat that you lose a hero now. And as the altars keep spawning, it's always problematic, of course. And in this case, it's a single altar that can only be accessed from PEPEMLADY throughout the top, through the mid lane. So, tricky one, and very easily to guard now from Washed Up.
Wilkie has so much more patience than I do. I would have 100% dropped Tyler's skin earlier there and died. But in this case, he stays alive. He's been able to port back, and he's on the way to the rest of his team. Right now, they're fighting with 4. Stun comes in, interrupts Banana H as Haswells goes for a ride with the concussion mine. Masquerade coming in for the retreat. But stays safe. Wilkie going very aggressively. Both teams looking for the angle, but the Alcon's going to pop it. They're going to try and get in here with a good Aegis. Going to try and keep Junkrat alive, but Junkrat will fall here. Good stun by Deathwing for the retreat though, but the Cocoon preventing the escape onto Ariel. Looking for the engage here. Dayquaza perfectly angled, trying to interrupt as we see the Apocalypse coming out. Sorry, Cataclysm for the retreat. And Ariel was able to escape even through the Cocoon.
There's 2 kills. That's the altar channel. That's 18 points against 28. And now they're going straight into the middle with 2 heroes down and Greymane still alive and kicking. They're easily taking that bell tower down. So that's like full bell tower control nearly for the blue team. Top side is the only lane still standing. That's a huge problem. So Will Q is also low and Nick is already looking for an opportunity to come in from the final hit. Doesn't have to set that up. 6 kills against 2, level 16 on the board, 2 level lead. It's brutal. Washed Up has such a dominant position now. They have a total chokehold on PEPEMLADY now. And breaking through that, breaking free here, would require PEPEMLADY to take 2 bell towers back. Being a talent down, being the level 16 talent down, that's nearly impossible unless you get a kill.
Because well, it came out, but it was healed up by Dyla here, but the Wilkie and Gore Rider very low in this fight. Deathwing looks like he might try and take a long rotation around, but the fact is they saved the bell tower through the Black Arrows. They were forceful onto Dyla, but they can't really chase him into base. Wilkie's so low, dude! Go heal! The Sappers will make it in, you can't stop them. And as such, we're finally going to see a multiple man port back to base here, just to try and get some help.
That's 2 more hits in, 15 against 28, a little bit of damage here in the middle as Dayquaza. Space Goat is holding it now. And that's a triple altar phase. They need to take at least one of them back, but even if they do, if all 3 altars are on our channel, that means that the game's over. So they reclaim the one in the middle, that's already a start, but they need to do much more than that if they really want to have a chance to come back into this game. As I said, not going to be easy by any means, but well, let's see what they can actually pull off here. Bot lane also retaken. I like that.
Get it. But Wilkie is so low before the fight even starts here. Junkrat is going to be the one to channel. And look at this. Deathwing denying on the other side, buying his team time. Looks like they're going to give up on bot lane. And they're going to guarantee their own channel. They just accept that they're going to lose a 2-for-1 here. But with them taking back those bell towers, their health is still alive.
They're retaking bot lane already. So they're actually, it's just set up, they have the pumpkins that moved in, and they're retaking it immediately. So congratulations for PEPEMLADY getting that for just a moment, but it's immediately reclaimed. Richu is also a little bit low, needs to be careful, jumping out already. The bell tower about to be converted on the other hand. PEPEMLADY down to 7 points. They're also about to lose Joanna again. The Aegis comes out, but that is not going to save them here, or is it? Wilkie rushing away as the Riptide is creating a little bit more space, but there's the jump as Greymane goes in for the kill. They take the double. Johanna down, 2 kills, a bell tower. And still 2 levels ahead, Washed Up, still with a big lead in this first map of the best of 3 series in the quarterfinal.
Hassel was looking for the snipe onto Deathwing there, unable to get it. With 2 members down, though, they know they can't really defend against Sylvanas. They could try, but they're more likely just going to grab this, because this means even if they lose a bell tower of their own, they still have lethal on any of these objectives. However, it is a single objective, a single altar in bottom lane coming up next. But it also means Sappers are now lethal. Raizu takes to the sky.
Yeah, also let's not forget that if they take the bell tower top side and then take the pumpkin camp, that could also finish the game. So you could literally put them into a checkmate position here. If the pumpkins push through, you lose. You lose the bell tower, game's over. So they tried to prevent that by moving in now to defend it, but as you can tell, that's just too late. So once they take the top pumpkins, Deathwing is the one who has to deal with the situation.
Bottom lane is activating 14 seconds. They're going to have to time this. Deathwing, he's heading down. He needs to go to top lane. He's the only one who can do this. Unless they plan on leaving Sylve up there, but no. Greymane is going to stay up top lane, and that's just going to end the game. No one's stopping this. I'm sorry, but that's it.
I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, Deathlings, I think they're going to try and kill everyone and have Deathling fly, but he has to wait 5 seconds after engaging into a fight. That's it. That's game. GG.
Yeah, I have no idea what just happened. Like, Nick literally just YOLOs and commits Sudoku because that is game, and yep, that's a win. And that was an easy one. Not quite sure what exactly we're thinking about doing here. Maybe they miscalculated, but that was a little bit odd. I mean, even if you think, okay, we're most likely going to lose it, you would still stay top, defend, and try to play the 4 versus 5 at the bottom of the map.
Yeah. Either way, in this case, though, they do... they are able to claim game number 1. And as such, this will be the first pick or the map choice going over to PEPEMLADY for game number 2. Washed Up, showing why they're one of the top seeds here. They had control of that game from start to finish. Never really looked weak. Alrighty. Again, we're just waiting for our lobby to get set up. And then we'll be able to jump into game number 2 of Washed Up versus PEPEMLADY. Battlefield of Eternity, like you already said, we have a very high chance of seeing the Valor in either pick or ban spots, and Greymane will almost certainly be involved.
It's a little bit weird for me, PEPEMLADY picking this against Washed Up. Again, for them, it's a really good map. Then again, Washed Up has actually played some incredible games on this one as well. I mean, Hazo's pool here ranges from so many heroes, but they played for a long time. That has shifted a little bit, but they play for a long time Sergeant Hammer that they always came back to. Usually for Washed Up, a super early pick in that draft is Reyna over here with Exterminator, so they prioritize that very, very highly. Had for a long time also rotation on the second pick where they went straight into a Johanna plus Reyna, so there's a lot of priority picks for them over here. And it's a really good map for them too, because their coordination in team fights is incredibly strong. For PEPEMLADY, it feels like they always like to play this map. I said earlier that they sometimes throw out that they're Tannis. They have a couple of other, I want to say niche picks that we don't see all that often, which they really like to play here in general. I just don't know if that works against Washed Up, but the draft will decide probably a lot, and I'm a little bit curious to see what they can actually bring to the table, because as we alluded to now many times, Washed Up is not easy to draft against, and try and ban out Nick and you will see a problem coming towards you very, very quickly. And you have the Greymane set up now, Carrigan, Tracer potentially. You want to get rid of that Vala, of that Lily. I mean, this is literally a map where you just like have to pick your poison. That's it.
Very much so. Well, going to be finding out what poisons we'll be seeing in our game number 2. So we have headed into the draft. PEPEMLADY on the right, and Washed Up will be getting their first pick, as this map was chosen by PEPEMLADY. We'll see what we get removed. Again, we already mentioned Nick has so many good options, one of them being that Greymane. Wouldn't be surprised to see it removed, and there's the Li Ming taken out.
Yeah. Li Ming immediately banned. Now, of course, the questions are again, Carrigan, Ana. Those are two of the ones that come to mind immediately. You have meta bans as well that you could also try and take out. It's tricky. Banning against Washed Up is never really easy. There's too many comfort picks on their side, plus also the meta picks that you would like to ban out. So for PEPEMLADY, it has to be a question of what do we really not want to face up against. We won't be able to ban out their pool anyways. And the Tacita, I talked about it after the last game here, has been so impactful from Hazops. So they just say, okay, let's get the Tacita out. Let's go into the meta bans instead of trying to ban out priority heroes for now. Could still try and eliminate Ana as a potential pick on Banana Age's side. But for now, it's Washed Up who have to ban out something as well. And it could be the Immortal Pressure. No, they go for ETC. Wilkie has locked this down pretty much every time they could on Battlefield of Eternity, so yeah, good ban for them.
Yeah, the Wilkie is a very good ETC player. Makes sense to remove it. Takes that out. It does leave Rhaegar, Valor, Greymane. All these heroes are now available for the bans, but you can only remove one of them. The question is, what is the priority here?
I mean, technically speaking, you don't even have to go for support here. You can also try and limit the Immortal potential. But it is Zarya. So no Zarya speed bubble with Garrosh.
Makes sense.
Yeah, Zarya is really interesting to me as a hero just in general, because you have certain tournaments where she is pretty much banned in nearly every single game. And then you have another tournament that comes in and all of a sudden half the teams ignore her. So it's like always this weird thing. If you know your opponent well, you know, do they have an affinity for that or not? But with that coming in, Banana Age immediately throwing a fit in voice and immediately saying, lock her in, go. So yeah, Anna gets secured, and that gives them now a really a good back setup for Anna to just like heal everybody out there, and also of course apply the nano boost. And that's Jimmy plus Rega.
Reina Rhaegar, the double Rs. Getting them in here, lots of damage output, potential for that Bloodlust composition already being set up here. But Johanna is available, and she is one of the good counters to this. The other big counter to a Bloodlust composition, Deckard Cain, though, or Deckard Cain or Stukov, can't really be picked because we already have Anna being selected as the first pick for Washed Up.
Yeah, I think likely, unless they wanna, there's Hazu, you're likely gonna pick Nick last. That's usually what they do. They keep him a little bit as a flex choice, and he then reacts to what the opponent locks in. Now we have still the range poke already with Chromie. That's also where the nano boost is very likely gonna end up. And Equaza has apparently found his love for Urel. Space Ghost, second time in a row. With PEPEMLADY now being put in the position where they have to start banning out another hero, and they're probably thinking, okay, what is Nick gonna play?
Very true. They choose the hammer. Makes sense. That siege potential. Disengage, if they were planning on bloodlusting in, would have been very rough. That multi-person knockback. And of course, siege tactics to prevent anyone really hard engaging on her would have been pretty scary. With siege, Chromie, siege, hammer, I do like that as a ban.
Yep. For that, I would have probably switched heroes over a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see the ban there on the other side. You could really try and limit the hero pool of or the choices for Will Q a little bit more with another tank ban, and they do. Johanna gets banned out. Those were the two that he plays the most. So if you don't see him on ETC, he's most of the time playing Johanna. Doesn't mean that his pool is limited to those two, but those are definitely his preference picks. So they're trying to focus Will Q down a little bit more, and that makes a likely tank pick now for PEPEMLADY, because Washed Up could still pick another one out of the arsenal if they leave it for last.
So we have Mal'Ganis, Anub'arak, Muradin coming in once again. This could have been a potential where we could have gone for what you called in the very first game of the day with the Tyrael maybe sneaking its way in. But in this case, the Muradin adding that crowd control is going to be decent, and it's going to help a lot against this hero. Kira and Imperius coming in here as the final pick. So that is a main tank Imperius with Kira for the extra damage.
The main tank Imperius has actually been played in Meta Madness a lot, from early round onwards already. So not just when we saw heroes banned out, but they actually started to play this super early on, and with great success. So Imperius offers a lot in that situation, and those stuns and lunges in particular. Kira coming in for Nick, and well, that sets us actually up for a really good match here on Battlefield of Eternity, with Alara getting locked in by Gore Rider as the last pick.
It's good.
Yeah, not
good disengage, good counter engage against these multiple melees with Counter Strike, and of course, telekinesis on the Immortal is just absolutely brutal. If you knock people into those stuns, you have a very good time, and of course, that lightning from range is good poke too. It's a solid last pick from PEPEMLADY, but there's so much hard engage for Washed Up.
Yeah, Washed Up has a terrifying setup. They also have a lot of range poke that they can use, so that comes together with this as well. If they use that, I mean, if Kira comes, for example, in and creates a lot of space here, right, that helps Chromie. She can just sit in the back and keep hammering away and trying to get those hits in. Then you have also the lockdowns from heroes like Imperius, just to set one example up. And if he does that, and then the Dragon's Breath comes through, there is so much damage and finishing potential that you have with Chromie. So really solid setup for Washed Up here. PEPEMLADY, they got Misha, of course, in the equation as well. They got a couple of stuns together, so they can definitely do some work here. But I think Washed Up is pretty happy with the draft that they got for themselves here.
I would agree. I think it's very effective. They have a lot of control here. Mortal Race is reasonable for both teams. We're going to be finding out, though, as it looks like the game is ready to get underway. Battlefield of Eternity will be our second map of this best of 3 series. Can Washed Up close this out, or will PEPEMLADY be able to bring us to a tied series and send us to a map number 3?
The last time that we actually saw PEPEMLADY on this map, it was a 30-minute game. This time, I'm pretty sure that Washed Up has different plans, and we'll find out if that works out for them. They have the lead in the series, so they want to, of course, clutch this out with the 2-0. But off we go for the blue team. We got them again with that Imperius and Urel setup, whereas PEPEMLADY has added the Alarak card, which is definitely a little bit of a trump card element that they have here and that they could use to get some stacks together, get a bit of control over those team fights. But for now, we have a little bit of a trap topside as Masquerade's moving in here.
Ritsu sees it though. Good use of Misha with the bear. Has gone for a spirit swoop here. Wants to really clear out those minions as best as possible. Control that lane, as there are 2 potential offlaners that could bully him here. In fact, 3. And all of them are up here, causing a lot of grief here. Point is though, Misha can just sneak in and soak. Masquerade's gonna port? No, he's waiting it out. Moves in. Doesn't land a Celestial Charge. Kuritsu escapes.
Bot lane pressure is actually something I'm a little bit more worried about from their perspective right now, because the red team has immediately started to be very aggressive down at the bottom of the map once that they realized that there were 2 heroes topside. So that's something to also keep in mind here. They did a little bit of damage towards the wall, not really too much that early in the game here, of course, but definitely something to watch out for as this continues.
Wilkie jumps for freedom, stays safe this time. Stormbot not landing, but keeps his team safe and under control for the moment. And so far, it's a slow roll game. Gank attempts have been made, but nothing super serious here. So we will see the Wilkie in position to engage. His team has vision. They have vision on Banana Rage. This is where they could do it, but look at this. Dequaz rotated all the way down from top lane. Rexar's on the way, but a big jump onto Nick here, who's trying to survive with the swing, but cannot do it. The Wilkie, he's holding the line here. Dyna has like no health, but he's gonna try and hold it. There's the swap, but Alarak cannot do it. Sheer damage output. Even though they got the first kill, the health bars were far too low on the side of PEPEMLADY.
Yeah, but still a pretty awesome fight there. I mean, initially it really looked like PEPEMLADY would lose multiple heroes in that encounter. Nick, of course, swinging in and then going maybe a little bit too deep. But there was a penetrating round from Reyna in particular that created a little bit of space for them. It was a very aggressive setup. And so we're probably going to see some fireworks in this game if already this early they're willing to commit to fights like this one. Nicely done.
I'm very, very excited. Should be good. And I'm here wondering right now, could we be seeing the stun heroic from Kira? We do see the final strike as a more common pick here, but that extra big AoE stun could be such a big deal to counteract the Bloodlust fight of PEPEMLADY. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, for now we have only level 4 talents in. And on that end, the Grizzle Bear, look at that, level 4, not going into any stacking. I mean, again, this is of course a map where you usually don't get as many stacks towards your Hunter-Gatherer on level 4. But it's still pretty cool to see, because most Rexar players, if it's big tier, will still opt in for it. Not so in this game, though.
Yeah, but no animal husbandry, though, so is it really worth?
I mean, it's something that we don't see it that often anymore either. Animal husbandry has become not really... when the Rexar made it into the meta, that was a different story. Then we had animal husbandry pretty much everywhere. But those times have changed. Now everybody kind of knows how to deal with Rexar.
But infinite stacks, come on. But no, going for block this case. Mortal being focused down, despite my sadness, and they are going to move forward.
Nothing for the memes here. No, but with the first objective now, so we have a little bit of a poke happening from both sides. You want to keep Jimmy as far away from your Immortal as you can, because as we said previously, that guy is just an absolute monster when it comes to Immortal pressure. So we'll try and keep him away. But here's the kill. Muradin goes down first. Nicely done. Focusing Wilkie here and taking him apart. Washed up, getting a bit of a lead and focusing directly onto the Immortal after this kill in an attempt to get the first objective for themselves.
Masquerade was set up in the bush to try and help with anyone who rotated in. Instead, they're looking for Ritsu, but instead, Misha is the target, but quick stun will be able to retreat. Now, Muradin rejoining the team, but Gore Rider, oh no, caught out of position. Will be sniped away, Dyna takes some damage, but will escape. Nice jump by Wilkie, getting out as well, but still losing Reyna here is a bad timing.
And you can already tell the problem here a bit. Now that we have these coordinated team fights, Washed Up is starting to pick up kills time and time again. And that's a pattern that PEPEMLADY has to break through. They need to somehow coordinate a good attack that nets them a kill or two as well. Because if they just play these poke games, they will always be in a situation similar to this one. And they are likely to lose the first objective now. So Jimmy is back, and he is definitely closing the gap a little bit, but it's not enough to get them the Immortal. So that's a push with an Immortal. Low shield though, but they will have level 7. They already have it as they're moving into another fight. That's not something you want to take if you're PEPEMLADY. If they would lose another hero now, that would be an absolute disaster. But at least for the time being, they can save everybody. The push topside though will still be difficult to stop and should do quite a bit of damage. Wall will fall, maybe even the fall.
They stay safe. They're now able to rotate everyone except for Rexar up here, finally for this defense. And here's the issue with the Alarak in this composition. He is such a good hero, but he's not the best at defending the Immortal here, as Dyla also eats a lot of damage. Zaps coming out from Cesabos. He's gone for the Q build, the Discord build, by the way, as Imperius sniped away. They set up and pick up a kill, and with that, level 7, and they should be able to save this fort.
Yeah. It took a lot more damage than I thought, though. I mean, the wall was a given. I expected them to do some fort damage. Taking it down, maybe not quite, but given how low the shield was on the Immortal as all of this started, this was actually a lot of damage that he could do here. But the killer against Imperius is, of course, great, so that's definitely a good set for them. So that gives them at least that. Good for them. But the question still is, can PEPEMLADY come back into this? It's a little bit of a weird thing to say. It's 3 kills against 2, it's 8 versus 8. It's just like the way that these fights have been playing out so far, that it just feels that Washed Up is in the driver's seat and makes a decision of the pace in those battles. And after level 10, that could easily translate into a bit of a snowball effect.
Wilkie zoning, but Masquerade's still here. No overcommitment though, with Chromie still in top lane. They just allowed this mercenary camp to go over to PEPEMLADY. And the XP, as you said, isn't a huge amount different. There's still just a big health of structure lead. Level 9 is here for Washed Up, just about to hit for PEPEMLADY. Both these teams desperately trying to soak, trying to race to level 10 before the next objective. They found Urel. Find Steed, though, available. Not going to make a difference. Going to be able to survive as Wilkie again has to jump out super low.
And that's what I mean. They always seem to have someone on the red team side on low HP, so they have to fall back. In Muradin's case, he at least has the self-regeneration that takes a little bit the pressure off what Rhaegar has to do in these situations. But it's still a bit dicey, and the small lead in experience already starts to matter. It's not really a big one, but if you have the earlier level 10 just as the Immortal spawns, that normally nets you the halftime show lead. And that will help to lock in a second Immortal. And of course, in an ideal world, they would try to do a little bit more and even get a kill from that. And they're already trying it as we speak, and they are about to lock it in. And there it is. Muradin goes down. Well played. Good level 10 setup here for Washed Up. And that's, of course, the perfect opening for the objective.
Perfectly charged there. They get Ritsu as well. They did miss the Celestial charge. They still picked up the kills. But now, even with those double kills, it's almost a full experience lead, full level lead, as level 10 is available for both teams. Everyone picking up those heroics. We have that Bloodlust Rainer's Raider. Rexar yet to pick, but it's likely to be the Boars, although I would love to see a Bloodlusted Mystial Wrath Bear. I'm not sure we're going to see that, though. And it is Final Strike as the level 10 for Kira.
I've seen it once now, after we've seen Bloodlust come in as the standard pick for Rhaegar. So it can definitely be picked here. But in this case, the kills! Oh, the double lunge and the connect with a stun! Goodbye, my friend. The Boars are out, but that's a triple. And they're going for the quad kill. They're taking all of them down. They want to go for Richard too, but he seems to be able to escape thanks to Misha. But as I said, once level 10 kicks in, that snowball that I was speaking about earlier is now coming into full play. Washed Up, definitely looking for the 2-0 victory.
These Celestial charges from Masquerade are carrying this game so much. He's going to have to pull back for mana. He was very low in that fight. But that is almost a 100% shield Immortal. As we are heading in. Bot lane is about to get absolutely ravaged.
Yeah, this is getting a bit ugly here right now. So bot lane pressure, that's going to be very rough. They even have the fountain still on their own end, so they can easily go for a bit of a pre-tap before they make their way into this. But difficult situation. If they can get the kill against Masquerade, that's a bit of a different story, though. Alarak, though. Counter-strike, and he is dead. Masquerade saves himself here. Nicely done. They get the follow-up kill. Jimmy dead, Muradin dead. It's an absolute bloodbath as they take everybody with the exception of the doggy out.
Masquerade saved himself there with those angelic armaments, able to push in forward, even did some extra damage to allow Chromie to get the final hit onto that Alarak. And now they push in looking for a keep. The Immortal still with a quarter of its shield left. They are doing fantastic here as they crush their way through this front wall.
I mean, as already mentioned previously, Washed Up has been pretty much in every single grand final for ages now, because they are one of the best teams, if not the best team in Europe, always fighting these battles with other teams like LAUBERS FANCLUB, and that's one of the reasons why we expect them to go far in this tournament too. Everybody on the red team is low again. Look at that lunge once more. Imperius just locking them down. Nick survives because of it. Everybody is low, and they're just looking for the kills. Alarak down, Muradin down, Reyna is dead as well. The keep is already gone, and Washed Up is looking for the win right here.
They burn the nano boost for core race here. Nick, by the way, during that fight was 1v3ing with that Kira. Dropped a final strike, turns that fight on its head. They rush down the court. That is gonna be game as Washed Up take the series in a 2-0.
Well played by them. I mean, really good setup from Washed Up and a totally dominated performance here in Battlefield of Eternity. And, well, we talked a bit about how just like teamfight coordination is super important for Washed Up, and how on this map a lot of that hinges just on the team fighting around the Immortal. And the game went pretty much the way that we expected here. So I felt PEPEMLADY is a great team. They had a lot of success. They made some really big splashes, but Washed Up is just a level above them. And they, again, if not the number one, then they are the number two in Europe right now. Last Dance is going to try and contest that, but Washed Up has been dominant in the post-HEC era together with LAUBERS FANCLUB, and it showed today in this series too.
Well, while we're waiting for the lobby to finish being set up, and I apologize, production, I hope you're ready, because I gave no warning, let's talk about Method for setting up this Method Mayhem. Already, Heroes of the Storm Cups. We're going to have several cups, as well as a monthly final with a lovely $2,350 prize pool, which will be increased by Match Arena. And if you can get your subs to match that original input, that will be added to the prize pool as well. And that's just enough time to fill as we are into the draft, ladies and gentlemen.
And of course, since we're still waiting for the players to make the decision on the first few bans here, don't forget to also follow Method on Twitter, twitter.com/Method, and follow them on Instagram as well, especially with the weekly tournaments now coming in, with those monthly finals that we've been talking about. If you guys want to be updated about the upcoming streams, about rankings and all of that, you should definitely hit that follow button over there. So head over to Twitter, hit that button while we are going through the draft here. It gives you a little bit of time before we start with the actual match. But as the draft continues, we get the ban against Ana, and we got ETC also banned out against Mopsio over here.
Makes sense. ETC, of course, very, very scary, but that Ana is so scary too. Two of the top supports removed, with Rhaegar taken out as well. No Bloodlust, please. I'm curious. I'm surprised. I'm looking out. I'm trying to keep my eye out for any target bans. Like, is there anything that's going to show its head that was important in the last series that we missed? But so far, this all looks just super meta and super standard. So we're just removing these top heroes.
Yeah. So for now, we got Johanna removed as well. I mean, Johanna off this map, of course, fantastic for the wave clear, to as said. Now, there's a couple, when we talk about the frontline players, we have actually seen Lauber as the one player that on a lot of maps brought back Blaze as a bit of main tank. We've seen Blaze as main tank, we've seen Imperius in that role, but with Garrosh still being up, they're now using that, of course, too, for the Flipsy. We want to have a follow-up on that, of course, as well. A little bit of burst damage. Picks it also away from Mopsio here. I'm kind of a bit hyped to see Grand Paqueta, to be honest. That in particular makes me kind of happy.
I'm glad it wasn't just me. Really love Grand Paqueta. He is fantastic. He's on the support this game by the looks of it, with Malfurion as the pickup, but Deathwing as first pick for reformed players. Well, you have a Garrosh. Let's just play something unstoppable. Why not?
Yeah, Deathwing is in. Malfurion together with that. You know, not even Garrosh can throw Deathwing. Just a little bit too heavy. Puts him into a wheelchair too quickly. He's not going to throw anything anymore.
Boy.
But there it is. They go for the combo. They pick Zarya. We've talked multiple times now about the speed barrier on level 4 together with Garrosh, which just allows you as Garrosh to rush into the opponent's team, get the flip into the backline, pretty much unpunished. So that's pretty awesome for LAUBERS FANCLUB to have now. It's normally something that they, when they were under the wings of Granite Gaming, played on Battlefield of Eternity a lot. Then it started to branch out on other maps too. Don't see it that often on Tomb of the Spider Queen, but it's still a super powerful combo to have. and they should be able to put a lot of pressure on that front line in particular.
Absolutely, and that Malthael should eat Deathwing in lane if those two end up matching with each other. I have been on both ends of that, and Malthael just has such a good lane versus the Dragon here. So let's see how Reformed are going to play around that. They still have their own main tank to pick, but first things first, Vala going to be coming in. And Junkrat. Now, that is curious because they're not showing their tank, of course, leaving it to be flexible. And there is a slight possibility, and this may be the fact I've been in North America too long, but there's a slight chance they might run an Uther tank to make up double heals for Vala and to try and keep everyone alive through these big team fights.
Yeah, that's true too. If you really want to throw that out again, then the Uther main tank is actually something that some team... PEPEMLADY, by the way, has played that a few times.
Yeah.
Quite a couple of times. If anything, I'm surprised that they didn't bust it out yet on Battlefield of Eternity. That was the map where they did it the most. Heading on Stukov for the silence, alright, the throw into that with the Virulent Infection, and Sylvanas for even a bit more damage and pressure through Web Weavers in particular. Again, this is the third game, so we are jumping into a third map. But here's Tyrael from Opsio. So yeah, for everybody that tuned in a bit late and was asking like, hey, what are they doing here? What's happening with map number 1? What happened map number 2? Pretty much, we were already done with our series. Instead of showing you guys just countdown for like, I don't know, 20 minutes, we decided to jump into an additional map, bring you a little bit more coverage. It came down to a deciding map between these two teams, and that's what we're going to go for. Tomb of Spider Queen the map, Tyrael the last pick. Good lineups. Should be a nice one.
So the Tyrael does make out that little bit of extra Valor protection we were looking for. Valor doesn't need double support these days, but it's always nice to have the protection because he is made of paper. So having that Tyrael is nice, but their crowd control is now limited to Deathwing, Junkrat, and Malfurion, which is a significant amount less than LAUBERS fan club. So they've got to play around this Garrosh, as you already called, but they do have a lot of damage output on this roster.
Yeah, they definitely do. And again, I want to see how much they can get out of that Zarya combo. We've seen games where she was so impactful. There's a lot of saving that you have there. With Tyrael, again, you're mainly looking at the sanctification from one of the big fights. Wave clear, of course, becomes an option here as well. But I really like, generally speaking, what LAUBERS fan club has put together. So they are still the favorites, I would say, in the series. But it's easy when you're under this much pressure to just stumble. And for Reformed players, it would be a fantastic achievement and accomplishment to just go through this, end up in the semi-final, and then, of course, face off against Wooby's team, which would be the opponent that's already waiting for this. So, yeah, fun one. Good one. The third map's always awesome.
It is always awesome indeed. So, we're just waiting for the lobby to be reset up, as Heroes is classic game. So we're waiting for that to be reset up. And we'll be able to jump into that game number 3 very shortly. Feels good. Again, Tomb of the Spider Queen will be the map. Both teams have very solid in terms of minion clear, which is going to be fantastic. And though the boss fight potential, which is obviously a kind of secondary fault on this map, but it's still worth thinking about. We have that bellowing roar for Deathwing, which is going to be a very big deal when it comes to that. We'll see how well that works. And of course, Sanctification, baby. That's going to be huge.
There's also Sylvanas with Web Weavers. Again, momentum-based. There's a lot happening here. There's continuous pressure from Garrosh thanks to the speed bubble on level 4 from Zarya to get that flip and that follow-up kill that we talked about so many times. And Stukov actually acts not only as someone who can then lock the target down a little bit more and provide that silence, but every single time you're also trying to push with the objective, he can really cover you and make it so much harder for the opponent to move in and defend against the Web Weaver. So there's a lot going for LAUBERS fan club, but they have to have the synergy and the timing to really lock that in. And that's going to be the task of their opponent, to just break through that and just don't allow them to get these timing setups for their own team, especially with Sylvanas being an added factor to try and take one of those forts down.
You couldn't have said it better. It is terrifying to see that giant orc rushing at you with that speed barrier on it. So they're going to have to play a lot safer on their assaults. We'll see if we're able to do so, though, as we are heading into the Tomb of the Spider Queen for game number 3 of our quarter final. We are underway. On the right, Reformed players, Opa Dopa on the Junkrat, Mopsio going to be playing the Tyrael Arctech on Deathwing, Sigurd going to be on the Vala, And there's Grand Paqueta on Malfurion.
All right, so LAUBERS fan club and his boy is here in the blue, and let's see what they can pull off here. This is going to be an important one for them. Again, they are the ones that have to prove that they are able to take these comeback players out. Reform players, on the other hand, for them, this is obviously going to be. If they lose, it's not really a big deal, I feel. It's really not a big thing. If LAUBERS fan club, on the other hand, loses, then it would put a bit question mark on their performance in this tournament here, and also on the status that they have in this just in general. So there's a lot less pressure on the Reformed players than there is on LAUBERS fan club. I don't know if the players themselves experience that, but you can just imagine from the outside that this is probably playing a bit of a role.
Very true. As we see just the wave clear slightly faster for Reformed players here. However, the rotations also being denied for LAUBERS fan club with those Junkrat traps really being irritating and slowing down the rotations. This will allow Reformed players to get a little bit of a head start as long as they can keep this up, though.
Yeah, for now there's always the repositioning with so we have a couple of heroes that can really go for the displacement. There's Junkrat on one hand, Garrosh on the other. You have lockdown attempts from Malfurion with the Root on the other side after 13. We will have the Virulent Infection for Stukov. Before that, there's not really that much available outside of Garrosh himself. After level 10, with the challenge, you can of course lock a target down too, and that's really where the rest comes in. The Malthel factor will be interesting. It's pressure against Deathwing, and it's obviously also an added bonus to have that last rights available if you want to try and stack that up. But if they can really get full value out of this, that's a very, very different question here, and I'm honestly not so sure here. So we'll see how that pans out. For now, teams are just going for the traditional rotation, a little bit of pressure against Lauber. But yeah, I'm hyped for this one. This is going to be exciting.
This should be very good indeed. For now, though, everyone's playing safe. No hard engages, no fights, just clearing the lanes, waiting for those level 4s, slowly gathering gems. It's nice to see a little bit of a slower game, making sure that everyone is safe and under control for the moment. As level 4 is finally hit. Finally, we're going to see an engage attempt onto Mopsio, but denied completely by Opadopa.
Yeah, this is the moment when Junkrat is always in a position where if he holds this back, he can really just interrupt the approach by pooping him back out. Of course, unless Indomitable is perfectly timed here. That's a different story. But this is really the early game threat level, and you can already see just Lauber just like speed racing around here. Who gets a triple out of this one? Nice, that's great for his level 1, of course. And as expected, also the multi-shot build for Vala, which is going to be super, super important and impactful for her.
Yeah, very standard stuff here. We're also seeing what appears to be the Death Curtain style talent coming in as Mopsio pulled in again. Able to retreat though, makes his way. Interesting direction, but he will make it out of there. But yeah, interesting talent coming in from the Malthael this time. And we have Zarya going for those stacks, really trying to get that maximum damage output for the maximum amount of time. But no feel the heat now. Doesn't want to get in melee.
Yeah. We also still got a lot of poke here from Zarya in particular coming out the entire time with one grenade after another. It feels a little bit like the calm before the storm here. It's oftentimes like this on Tomb of the Spider Queen, where you have teams just rotate around, try of course to control the minion waves, because you want to collect as many of those gems as you can. The first test point of contention is normally at the bottom of the map, the Siege Giants, but it doesn't seem like the Reformed players are worried about that at all. So it's more about a tournament attempt now that both teams have enough gems to go for the first Web Weavers. But this is where things can snowball. Oftentimes, the first 2 objectives, one on each side, is not really all that impactful, depending on the kills. And that's the first one. Junkrat down.
Opadopa sniped away. They finally were able to get someone in that flip who they're able to finish off. Nicely done there, picking up the first kill of the game. They immediately moving for a turn, but Malfurion looking for denials here. But he will be forced back by LAUBERS with that speed barrier especially. Will be prevented from interrupting any more times. And with that, Rutzau will complete the channel, and the blue Web Weavers will be the first to come down.
And that's a bit of the momentum that they can pick up now. And that's actually the really important part on this. So this is an opportunity to get Sylvana's value. If you pair her up on one lane together with Stukov in particular, it can really start to pressure this a lot. And that's kind of what I'm looking for the most right now, if they can actually make that play here. Tyrael going down is already super important because this allows them now to push in. It's 2 kills against 0. You have 5 versus 4. You have a Sylvana set up and you have Stukov together with 2. There's a lot of potential for damage. And LAUBERS FANCLUB should be able to do a lot of structural damage against the Reform players now.
Architect came down from the sky, already topped back up to full armor, but is still doing a little bit of wave clear. He is very outnumbered and will be forced back here. So we see this 14 damage. T did move a little too far forward. Will take some damage from the 4, but here comes the Cataclysm. It's going to try and force everyone to back out and give some space for Mopsio to start clearing that Web Weaver.
Yeah, I'm a little bit terrified, honestly, for the Reform players, because if you lose too much with the first objective, that's usually a really big indication for the rest of the game. Now, they're holding on to their gems. That's the most important part of Tomb of Spider Queen if you fall behind. Hold on to the gems. Don't lose any heroes, because the gems are definitely your ticket back into this. Mopsio getting attacked and silenced. Body blocked as well, and he's down. Now, it didn't hold any gems, but you look at experience and you can tell it's level 10 any second, which means a guaranteed second turn in if you get the gems together. Right now they don't have enough, they're missing 17, but they could also take the bottom fort, which they just did. And I don't know, Tetcher, they're looking really good here, FANCLUB that is.
They are holding this very nicely. They hit those level 10s, Wailing Arrow, Taunt, Expulsion, Zone Last, rights to finish off anyone in their way. They are already getting a very big lead, but again, it only takes one fight for perhaps Reformed players to get their snowball turn. And they have 50 gems on their own. If they can grab themselves another 13, they will have enough for their own turn in and then another one in advanced. All they have to do is win a fight, and with that, level 10, they might be able to do so.
Yeah, now we got both of the teams in just a second on even talent. So that small window where the FANCLUB could have tried to force something, I mean, they did, but could have maybe gotten even an additional kill. Didn't quite come in. Strafe on Vala, so they're confident that they can get the damage in and that she won't be interrupted here. But we have those flips coming through once more. No ult on Garrosh though, so they actually missed out on that, at least for now. But here comes the attack. There comes Deathwing moving in immediately. Getting focused quickly. But they won't be able to get a kill here. Arctic, on the other hand, is starting to drop really low. And the fight isn't over yet by any means, but the Sanctification saves the Reformed players.
It has to be used because Stickhurt was caught in the taunt there. There's huge damage, and Zarya with the grenade picks up the double kill on both damage dealers, and that is going to immediately negate any attempt at a defense from Reformed players. This fort with black arrows is going down, and so is Grandpa Geta. The speed barrier just too much. And they're able to pick up another kill. They will be forced to back up though as black arrows expires.
Yeah, this is brutal. At this point, they're pushing the 4 down to 50%, maybe even a bit more. 6 kills to 0, 1.5 levels ahead. There's still a lot of gems for the Reformed players, so again, that's the silver lining on the horizon, but we now have another turn in potential. And the flip plus a taunt, another kill against Vala. Absolutely dominant what we're seeing from the FANCLUB here. Wow. I mean, this is kind of what we expected in this series, but the Reformed players, they took Battlefield of Eternity. LAUBERS FANCLUB, on the other hand, they apparently came out of the second game angry and just said, okay, guys, this isn't happening. Let's drop them as quickly as we can. And 8.5 minutes in, they have an enormous lead.
So many gems have been dropped by Reformed players. I don't even know if they have enough. Yes, they do, apparently, because Deathwing has 50 just by himself. If he could ever get them in, that's the issue. Mopsio with 19 as the Web Weavers push in. We can see Malthael split pushing in that bot lane, causing even more pressure. This level 13 is available. We have that Shroud of Wisdom for the Malthael, trying to just prevent any spell damage, because that's the majority of the damage output here from Reformed players.
Yeah, this is terrifying right now. 9 minutes into the game, and the Web Weavers topside are likely to drop the last fort. If they get another kill here, and they do with the last rights, the second stack for Malthael. They can push now through the middle. And just look at the minimap. Bot lane, same picture. Web Weavers are pushing through, so it's now Keeps that are taking damage. And honestly, the Reformed players get just absolutely pummeled into the ground at this point. Coming back from this position, that would be an incredible miracle.
Very nicely done, Architect. breathing out. We'll clear out the Web Weaver a little bit more, but that's the first keep down. We also have this top fort will be finished off by the minions and the remaining members of LAUBERS fan club. They are just continuing to snowball their lead. Remember though, there is enough, in fact there's almost enough for 2 turn-ins on the side, unless they lose some gems here. 34 on the side of Tyrael, they take out Valor. Mopsio will survive though. Whee! Goes right to the very edge of the base. As Architect drops the Cataclysm, they're going to try and fight, getting a good bellowing roar, but Copen, no one can get him due to Fear the Reaper. He speeds his way out.
Yeah, at this point, honestly, we're having Vala more dead than alive. There's an attempt at a kill. Maybe they can take Copenhagen down here. Nope, he is able to escape as well. And 9 kills against 0, 3 levels ahead, 16 soon on the board. Solid performance. This is really tight performance here. I mean, again, no opportunities for the opponent. They have the gems though. 93 gems, and they apparently seem to YOLO it a bit before level 16 hits. Level 16 will be ready any moment, but they want to fight the even talent fight before that happens. Grand Paquete is so low, and he gets taken down as Copenhagen goes in for the kill.
Tyrael goes to say hi to Boss with the massive shove. Architect is being chased down by Sylvanas. Architect will survive. Mopsio is out. These are the big gem holders for the team, but it doesn't matter if the game ends, which looks like what's happening now. They have 13, while LAUBERS fan club have 16, and they are rushing in for the core.
Yeah, they are absolutely dominating it right now. Now, again, this could be another kill. Like, yeah, not supposed to be the sanctification, trying to save himself a little bit more here, but the game is going to end right here. The fan club with a 2-1 victory against the Reformed players, making it happen. And nicely done. GG and well played. 12 kills to 0. Perfect game. 3 kills ahead too on top of it. Yeah, that was quite spanking.
I really want to see game number 2 now. I'm curious what happened, because that looked really one-sided, and it might just be the draft, because that Garrosh's Aria combo is terrifying, but that was very brutal and very one-sided. But as such, LAUBERS fan club will go on to face the last dance.